Have you ever felt invisible, like you don't exist? You send a message and there's no reply. You walk into a room and no one notices. You try to connect, but they pull away. And it makes you wonder, did I do something wrong? Am I not good enough? Being ignored is painful. It stirs up emotions you don't want to feel, self-doubt, frustration, loneliness. It makes you question your worth. But what if I told you this is a gift? What if being ignored is actually the greatest opportunity of your life? Stay with me till the end of this video and I'll show you something powerful. How to turn their silence into your strength. By the end of this, you won't just stop caring about being ignored. You'll start using it as fuel. The world will have no choice but to notice you. Now listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will change how you see yourself forever. The pain of being ignored. When someone ignores you, your brain reacts as if you're in physical danger. Psychology calls this social pain. It triggers the same area in your brain as actual physical injury. That's why it hurts so much. It's not just rejection. It's an attack on your identity. And when that happens, your mind starts creating stories. Maybe I'm not interesting. Maybe I don't matter. Maybe I need to try harder to be seen. But here's where most people make a mistake. They try to chase attention. They lower their standards, beg for validation, and cling to people who don't value them. And that's where they lose, because attention is never given to those who seek it. It's given to those who own themselves. Why people ignore you? Listen carefully. When someone ignores you, it's rarely about you. It's about them. Some people ignore you because they're too wrapped up in their own world. Others do it because they don't see your worth yet. And then there are those who ignore you because they do see your worth, but they don't want you to realize it. They hope that if they ignore you, you'll shrink. You'll doubt yourself. You'll stop shining. But let me ask you this. Are you really going to give them that power? Because here's the truth. No one ignores what isn't important. If you were truly irrelevant, they wouldn't need to ignore you. Their silence is proof that you are something bigger. And your job is not to prove your value to them. Your job is to recognize it in yourself. Your value is not negotiable. Think about this. If a diamond is buried underground, does it stop being a diamond? No. Its value doesn't change just because people can't see it yet. It's the same with you. Being ignored doesn't mean you're unworthy. It means you're being tested. Life is asking you a question. Do you need their approval or do you choose your own? Because the moment you stop seeking their validation, something incredible happens. You become untouchable. The ones who ignored you will wonder, what changed? Why are you so confident? Why aren't you affected? And when they finally turn around to look, they won't find the same person they ignored. They'll find someone unstoppable. And that's the moment you win. There's something about being ignored that cuts deeper than words. It's not just the silence, it's the message behind it. It's the feeling of being unseen, unheard, and unimportant. And that feeling, it can break even the strongest person. Because as human beings, we are wired to seek connection. From the moment we are born, we crave recognition, acknowledgement, and belonging. Our minds are designed to search for social validation. That's why when someone ignores us, it doesn't just hurt. It shakes our identity. It makes us wonder, am I not worthy of attention? But listen carefully. This pain is not here to break you. It's here to wake you up. Your mind is playing tricks on you. When someone ignores you, your brain starts working against you. It whispers lies. It tells you that maybe you're not enough. Maybe you need to change. Maybe you need to prove yourself to them. And that's the trap. Because the moment you believe those thoughts, you give away your power. You start chasing people who don't respect you. You start bending yourself just to fit into their world. But let me ask you this. Why would you fight for a place where you are not valued? A mind that seeks external validation will always be a prisoner. But a mind that recognizes its own worth, that's unstoppable. Silence is not rejection, it's redirection. Think about it. Why do some people ignore you? Is it always because you're unworthy? Or is it possible that life is removing the wrong people from your path? Some people ignore you because they're too distracted with themselves. Some ignore you because they're intimidated by your potential. And then there are those who ignore you because they simply do not have the capacity to see your value. But does that mean your value is gone? No, a lion doesn't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep. It doesn't need validation to know it is a king. And just like that, your worth is not determined by their attention. It exists regardless of who sees it. So stop looking at silence as rejection. Start seeing it as redirection, a sign that you are meant for something greater. Stop wasting your energy on the wrong people. Every time you worry about why someone is ignoring you, you are giving them power over your emotions. You are handing them the keys to your happiness. And the worst part, they don't even know it. Imagine pouring your energy into someone who barely notices you. Imagine spending your days waiting for a response that may never come. Imagine dimming your own light just to get their attention. Now imagine taking all that energy and investing it in yourself. Because here's the truth, when you shift your focus inward, when you grow, when you succeed, when you elevate yourself, the same people who ignored you will start paying attention. But by then, their attention won't even matter. The only approval you need is your own. Look around you. Every person you admire, every leader, every icon, every history maker has been ignored, doubted, underestimated. But they didn't stop. They didn't beg for attention. They turned their silence into fuel. The same people who ignore you today might one day wish they had supported you. But your success cannot be built on proving them wrong. It must be built on proving yourself right. Because at the end of the day, the only approval you truly need is your own. Have you ever noticed how some people act differently around you? One moment they're warm, engaging, and present. The next they're distant, indifferent, and silent. And you start wondering, did I do something wrong? Did I say something that upset them? But here's what most people don't realize. When someone ignores you, it says more about them than it does about you. Their silence is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their mindset, their insecurities, and their priorities. So before you waste another second over-analyzing their behavior, understand this. People ignore you for 3 main reasons. And once you recognize them, you'll never take their silence personally again. 1. Some people ignore you because they are focused on themselves. The truth is, most people are too consumed with their own lives to notice what's happening around them. They're not ignoring you to hurt you. They're simply caught up in their own problems, struggles, and distractions. Maybe they're dealing with stress. Maybe they're overwhelmed. Maybe they have a million things running through their mind. And in that chaos, they don't have the energy to acknowledge others. But here's the mistake people make. They assume that being ignored means they're unimportant. They internalize it as if they did something wrong, when in reality, it's not about you at all. So instead of feeling rejected, remind yourself, everyone has their own battles. Their silence is not a measure of my value, it's a reflection of their priorities. 2, some people ignore you because they underestimate you. This is the painful one. Some people ignore you because they don't believe you matter enough. They assume you're not worth their time, their attention, or their respect. But here's what's funny. People only see you based on their level of awareness. If someone has a small mind, they will never recognize a big vision. If someone lacks depth, they won't understand your potential. So when someone ignores you, ask yourself, do I really want to be seen by someone who can't even recognize my value? Because the reality is their blindness is not your burden. You are not here to convince them. You are here to become undeniable. And the moment you step into your power, when you grow, evolve, and succeed, the same people who once ignored you will suddenly act like they always believed in you. But by then, you won't need their validation. 3. Some people ignore you because they feel threatened by you. This is the one most people don't expect. Some people ignore you not because they don't see your value, but because they do, and it scares them. They see your potential and it makes them uncomfortable. They sense your energy and they don't know how to handle it. They recognize that you have something special, and instead of celebrating it, they choose to distance, because deep down they know if you realize how powerful you truly are, you won't need them anymore. So instead of supporting you, they act indifferent. Instead of acknowledging you, they pretend you don't exist. But make no mistake, they see you. They're just hoping you don't see yourself. And this is where you have a choice. You can shrink yourself to fit their comfort zone, or you can rise so high that their opinion becomes irrelevant. Your response defines your power. At the end of the day, how people treat you is their choice, but how you respond, that's your power. You can let their silence break you, or you can let it build you. You can chase their approval, or you can focus on becoming so strong, so confident, so unshakable that their opinion no longer matters. Because here's the ultimate truth. The right people will never ignore you. The right people will recognize your energy, your heart, your potential, without you having to beg for it. So stop giving your attention to those who withhold theirs. Instead, invest in yourself, master your craft, and watch how the world suddenly starts paying attention. Not because you needed them, but because you became someone they couldn't ignore. What if being ignored isn't a curse, but a blessing? What if it's not happening to you, but happening for you? Most people see being ignored as rejection. They take it personally. They let it break them. But that's because they're looking at it the wrong way. The truth is, being ignored is one of the greatest gifts life can give you if you know how to use it. Because in that silence, in that space where no one is watching, no one is validating, no one is cheering, that's where the real transformation happens. Rejection is redirection. Think about it. Every person who has ever achieved greatness was ignored at some point. The world overlooked them. People doubted them. They were underestimated, unappreciated, forgotten. But instead of begging for attention, they did something different. They used that silence as fuel. Instead of chasing those who ignored them, they worked on themselves. They built their skills. They sharpened their minds. They became so powerful that eventually the same people who ignored them had no choice but to notice. And that's what life is teaching you right now. You are being ignored because you are meant to grow in silence. You are being overlooked because you are meant to evolve without distractions. So instead of seeing this as rejection, start seeing it as a sign that your focus should not be on them, but on yourself. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be great. Most people spend their lives trying to be accepted. They want to be liked. They want to be included. But here's the problem. When you chase approval, you lose yourself. You become a version of yourself that is shaped by them, not you. And that's dangerous. Because the moment their attention disappears, so does your confidence. The moment they stop acknowledging you, you start doubting your worth. But ask yourself this: do you want to be liked, or do you want to be great? Because greatness doesn't come from being accepted. It comes from standing alone, doing the hard work, and becoming someone who doesn't need validation. Some of the most powerful people in history were ignored, doubted, and even ridiculed before they became legends. Not because they were unworthy, but because they didn't waste time proving themselves to small minds. And neither should you. Silence is where strength is built. There's something powerful about being ignored. It forces you to turn inward, to stop seeking external approval, to build resilience from within. Because when no one is clapping for you, you learn to clap for yourself. When no one is watching, you learn to move in silence. When no one is supporting you, you learn to become your own source of strength. And that's the kind of power no one can take away from you. So if someone is ignoring you right now, don't waste another second feeling hurt. Don't shrink yourself. Don't chase them. Instead, use this moment. Use it to become better, smarter, stronger. Use it to create something so powerful that one day they have no choice but to pay attention. And by then, you won't even need it. Why do we crave attention? Why do we feel the need to be noticed, acknowledged, and validated by others? The answer is simple. Because we have been trained to seek approval from the world around us. From childhood, we are taught that being liked means we are doing something right, and being ignored means we are not enough. But here's the truth: your worth is not dependent on who notices you. Your value is not measured by how many people give you attention. If you live for approval, you will die from rejection. If you let validation define you, you will crumble the moment it disappears. This is why detaching yourself from external validation is one of the most powerful things you can do. Because the moment you stop needing attention, you gain something far more valuable: self-respect, the trap of seeking validation. Most people don't even realize they are trapped. They shape their words, their actions, and even their personality based on how others react. If they receive attention, they feel important. If they're ignored, they feel invisible. And without knowing it, they become slaves to validation. But here's the dangerous part. When your confidence is built on external approval, it is weak. It is fragile. Because the moment people stop clapping for you, your self-worth starts to collapse. That's why some people panic when they're ignored. They feel desperate to be noticed again. They lower their standards, try harder, and even change themselves just to be accepted. But what they don't realize is this: the more you need someone's validation, the more power they have over you. And the moment you let go of that need, you become free. True power comes from within. Think of the people who inspire you the most, the ones who walk with confidence, who move with purpose, who seem untouchable. Do you think they are constantly seeking approval? No, because they don't need it. Their energy is different. They don't beg for attention. They don't adjust themselves to fit in. They are comfortable standing alone. And that's what makes them magnetic. Because here's the reality: when you no longer chase validation, something incredible happens. The world starts noticing you anyway. Why? Because people are drawn to strength. They are drawn to those who don't seek permission to be great. When you carry yourself with confidence, people feel it. When you operate with self-respect, people recognize it. But here's the irony: by the time they finally notice you, you won't even care. Silence is a test. Pass it. The universe is always testing you, and one of the biggest tests is this: can you keep believing in yourself even when no one else does? When you are ignored, when people overlook you, when they don't recognize your value, that's the moment you either break or build yourself. That's the moment you prove whether your confidence is real or just an illusion created by external validation. And the truth is, most people fail this test. They give up, they seek approval, they lower their standards just to be seen. But those who pass, those who refuse to let silence shake them, they become unstoppable. So if you feel ignored right now, remember this: it is not a punishment. It is preparation, a chance to build yourself in silence so that when the world finally turns its attention to you, you will be undeniable. What happens when you stop reacting, when you stop caring whether someone notices you or not? Something powerful takes place. The balance of power shifts. Most people spend their lives seeking validation, craving attention, and worrying about how others perceive them. They feel invisible when ignored. They feel rejected when overlooked. And they allow these emotions to control them. But here's the truth: the moment you master indifference, you become untouchable. When you no longer react to being ignored, you take back your power. When you no longer need approval, you become free. And when you develop the ability to stay calm, focused, and unbothered, regardless of who acknowledges you, you rise above everyone who still depends on validation to feel worthy. Why people crave your reaction? There's something most people don't realize. Attention is a form of currency. When someone ignores you, they expect a reaction. They expect confusion, desperation, or even anger. And the moment you give them that reaction, you've lost. Because now they know they have control over your emotions. They know they can manipulate your state of mind simply by deciding when to acknowledge you and when to withhold attention. But when you show no reaction, when their silence is met with your indifference, they lose that power. Suddenly they start wondering why you're unaffected, why you're not chasing them, why their absence doesn't bother you. And that's when the dynamic shifts, because now they are the ones seeking your validation. The psychology of indifference is misunderstood. Some think it means not caring about anything, but true indifference is not about shutting down your emotions. It's about controlling them. It's about choosing where to invest your energy. And here's the secret: the less you react, the more powerful you become. This is why the most influential people in the world don't respond to every little thing. They don't chase, they don't beg, and they don't waste time proving themselves. Instead, they remain focused on their goals, their growth, and their vision, while the world watches in awe. Because when you reach a level where no one's actions can shake you, You become unstoppable. Silence speaks louder than words sometimes. The best response is no response at all. When someone ignores you, don't try to convince them of your worth. Don't lower yourself to gain their attention. Instead, let your silence be your answer. Because silence is powerful. It sends a clear message. I do not depend on your validation. It forces people to recognize your strength. And more importantly, it teaches you to find confidence within yourself. The strongest individuals in history weren't the ones who demanded attention. They were the ones who knew their value, stayed focused on their path, and allowed their success to speak for itself. So the next time someone ignores you, don't waste a second feeling small. Instead, stand tall, move forward, and remember, your worth is never determined by someone else's attention. Imagine a life where no words, no actions, and no silence from others can affect you. Imagine having a mind so strong that nothing can break your spirit. That's not just confidence, that's unshakable power. But how do you reach that level? How do you train yourself to stop being affected by how people treat you? It all begins with a simple but life-changing realization. Your mind is the master of your reality. The way you perceive things shapes your entire experience. The way you react determines your emotional strength. And the way you think about yourself, about others, about life, creates the world you live in. When someone ignores you, most people feel small, they feel unworthy, they question themselves. But that reaction is a choice. And you don't have to make that choice anymore. Stop internalizing other people's actions. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that when someone ignores them, it means something is wrong with them, that they are not good enough, that they are not important. But that's a lie. People's actions are a reflection of them, not you. A person ignoring you does not mean you lack value. It does not mean you are not worthy of love, respect, or recognition. It only means one thing. They are choosing to act in a certain way, and their choices are none of your concern. The moment you stop internalizing their behavior, you set yourself free. Detach emotionally, elevate mentally. To build an unshakable mindset, you must detach emotionally from things beyond your control. That means not taking things personally, not reacting emotionally to temporary situations, not wasting energy on people who don't see your worth. Instead of dwelling on why someone is ignoring you, ask yourself a different question. Why do I care? Because the real power comes when you no longer care. Not in a bitter way, not in an angry way, but in a way that says, I am too focused on my growth to be affected by small things. That's the mindset of someone destined for greatness. Turn rejection into motivation. Every successful person has been ignored at some point. Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful has faced rejection. But the difference between those who succeed and those who don't is simple. Some people let rejection break them, while others use it to build themselves. Which one will you be? Because you have two choices. You can waste time overanalyzing, feeling small, and questioning your worth. Or you can take that energy and put it into becoming the best version of yourself. The choice is yours. Your focus determines your power. Your time, your energy, your focus. These are your greatest assets, and where you place them will shape your future. So don't waste them on people who don't acknowledge you. Don't waste them on proving yourself to those who refuse to see your value. Instead, invest all of it into yourself. Read, learn, build, improve, become so strong that one day the same people who ignored you will look at you and realize they made a mistake. And by then, it won't even matter to you. Because you will have built a mindset so unshakable, so powerful, that the only thing you will be focused on is your own unstoppable rise. What if, instead of worrying about who notices you, you use that energy to notice yourself? What if, instead of craving attention, you craved growth? The moment you shift your energy inward, everything changes. Most people waste their potential because they're too focused on external validation. They spend hours thinking about why someone ignored them, replaying conversations in their minds, questioning their worth based on someone else's actions. But the truth is, every second spent chasing validation is a second stolen from your growth. And that's the real cost. not the pain of being ignored, but the time you waste dwelling on it. Reclaim your power through self-mastery. The most powerful thing you can do is to redirect your energy. Instead of seeking validation, seek self-mastery. Instead of craving attention, crave discipline. Instead of chasing people, chase excellence. Because here's what happens when you do that. You become so focused on improving yourself that you stop caring who is watching. You become so invested in your growth that external validation feels irrelevant. And ironically, that's when people start noticing you. Not because you begged for their attention, but because your presence, your energy, and your success demand it. The law of energy. What you focus on expands. There's a simple rule in life. What you focus on grows. If you focus on why someone is ignoring you, that feeling of rejection will grow inside you. It will take up space in your mind. It will drain your confidence. It will make you feel small. But if you focus on yourself, your goals, your skills, your vision, then you will grow. Your mindset will expand. Your confidence will strengthen. Your presence will become undeniable. That's why successful people don't dwell on small things. They don't waste energy analyzing why someone didn't text back or why someone didn't acknowledge them, because they understand this simple truth. The more you focus on yourself, the less external things will affect you. And eventually you will reach a point where nothing outside of you has the power to shake you. Silence your doubts with action. The mind is tricky. When you feel ignored, it starts whispering lies. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I need to try harder to be noticed. But these are just thoughts, and thoughts are not facts. The best way to silence these doubts is through action, because action creates evidence. When you work on yourself, when you build skills, when you achieve small wins, when you see progress, your confidence is no longer based on opinions. It is based on proof. And the moment you start proving to yourself that you are capable, worthy, and powerful, the need for external validation disappears. Transform your energy, transform your life. Instead of feeling weak because someone ignored you, use that energy to become stronger. Instead of wasting time overanalyzing their actions, use that time to sharpen your mind. Instead of seeking approval, seek mastery over yourself. Because the ultimate flex, the ultimate power, it's not getting their attention. It's reaching a level where you don't even need it. And when you get there, when you become unstoppable in your growth, unshakable in your confidence, and immune to external validation, the same people who ignored you will wonder why they ever did. But by then, you'll be too busy winning to even notice. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away, not in anger, not in frustration, but with absolute confidence in your own worth. When someone ignores you, it's easy to fall into the trap of proving yourself, to send another message, to try harder, to seek closure. But every time you do that, you reinforce the idea that their validation matters more than your self-respect. And that's a dangerous mindset. Because the moment you place your worth in someone else's hands, you give them the power to control how you feel. But here's the truth. You don't need their validation. You don't need their attention. You don't need anyone to recognize your worth but you. Why walking away is a power move. Most people believe that walking away is a sign of weakness, that it means giving up, that it means losing, but in reality, walking away is one of the most powerful things you can do. Because when you walk away, you send a message: I will not beg for attention, I will not wait for your approval, I refuse to let someone else's lack of acknowledgement define me. And that level of confidence, it's magnetic. It makes people rethink their actions. It forces them to wonder why you are so unbothered, why their silence doesn't shake you, why you are still thriving without them. And that's when something interesting happens. The same people who ignored you suddenly start noticing you, not because you chased them, but because you chose yourself. Respect yourself enough to let go. There's a certain dignity in knowing when to let go, when to stop forcing things, when to remove yourself from places where you are not valued. Because self-respect is not just about how you treat yourself, it's about what you allow. Do you allow people to ignore you and still seek their approval? Do you allow yourself to feel small because someone didn't acknowledge you? Do you allow yourself to hold on to situations that drain your energy? Or do you stand tall, remind yourself of your worth, and move forward with grace? Because the more you hold on to people who don't see your value, the more you delay your own growth. And the moment you decide to walk away from anything that doesn't serve you, you set yourself free. The strength in not looking back, walking away is one thing, but not looking back, that's true strength. Because the biggest mistake people make is walking away physically, but still holding on mentally. Checking their phone, wondering if they'll reach out, hoping for an apology. But the real power comes when you move forward with such certainty that you don't need closure. You don't need explanations. You don't need anything from them because you are already complete on your own. And when you reach that level, you stop waiting. You stop hoping. You stop depending on things outside of yourself to feel whole. That's when you realize you were never ignored. You were just too valuable to be recognized by the wrong people. And now it's time to step into the life you truly deserve. The strongest response to being ignored is success. Not words, not explanations, not proving your worth to anyone, just pure, undeniable success. Most people waste energy trying to convince others of their value. They seek validation, chase attention, and hope that one day those who ignored them will finally notice. But here's the reality. You don't need to be noticed, you need to be unstoppable. Because when you focus on building a life so powerful, so extraordinary, the opinions of others become irrelevant. Their silence no longer affects you. Their absence no longer hurts. And their validation? You outgrow the need for it. Why? Seeking approval weakens you. Think about this. Why do people crave attention? Why do they feel hurt when someone ignores them? It's because deep down, they believe that external validation equals self-worth. That if someone acknowledges them, it means they are important. But that belief is a lie. No one determines your worth except you. And the moment you stop seeking approval, something incredible happens. You reclaim your power. You stop looking for validation and start creating value. You stop needing attention and start commanding respect. And respect is never demanded, it is earned. Shift from seeking to becoming. The most successful people in the world don't chase attention. They become so valuable, so skilled, so powerful that attention naturally follows them. Instead of asking, why are they ignoring me? Ask yourself, am I living at my highest potential? Am I focused on my growth, my skills, my mindset? Am I building a life that speaks louder than words? Because when you become someone who is too busy evolving, too focused on their purpose, and too driven to care about who is watching, you become unstoppable. Mastery is the ultimate power. The greatest revenge is not proving them wrong, it's proving yourself right. It's waking up every day and working on your craft. It's setting goals so big that your success becomes undeniable. It's becoming so great that one day the same people who ignored you have no choice but to recognize your power. But by then, their recognition won't even matter, because you will have already built a life so fulfilling that their attention is meaningless. Become the person no one can ignore, not by asking for attention, not by chasing validation, but by becoming so exceptional that ignoring you is no longer an option. Because true power is not in forcing people to notice you. It's in becoming the best version of yourself so that whether they notice or not, it makes no difference to you. And when you reach that level, that's when you stop expecting. When you stop waiting for people to notice you, to appreciate you, to acknowledge your worth, you set yourself free. Most people suffer not because they are ignored, but because they are attached to recognition, to approval, to the idea that their value depends on how others treat them. But the truth is, detachment is power. The ability to walk away, to not need validation, to be completely at peace regardless of who is watching, that is true strength. Why attachment leads to suffering? Think about the times you've felt hurt. Was it because someone ignored you? Or was it because you expected them to notice you? Pain doesn't come from being ignored, it comes from expecting attention and not getting it. But what if you removed the expectation? What if you lived in a way where your happiness, your confidence, and your success were independent of other people's reactions? Suddenly, nothing outside of you could shake you, no silence could make you feel small, no rejection could make you question yourself. Because your worth wouldn't be something given, it would be something owned. Emotional freedom comes from letting go. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. You stop holding on to things that drain your energy. You stop seeking validation that doesn't matter. Because the moment you need something from someone, you give them power over you. If you need their attention, they control your confidence. If you need their approval, they control your self-worth. But if you need nothing, you become untouchable. That's why the most confident people aren't the ones who are loved by everyone. They are the ones who don't need to be. They are whole by themselves. And that kind of confidence, it's rare, it's powerful, and it's what makes people take notice. Build an unshakable mindset. The world will test you. People will ignore you. Opportunities will be lost. Some doors will close. But how you react to those moments will define everything. Weak minds break when they are ignored. Strong minds get better. They use that silence as fuel. They don't dwell on the loss, they evolve from it. Because the truth is, you don't need them. You don't need closure. You don't need explanations. You only need yourself, your growth, your ambition, your vision. And when you reach the point where nothing outside of you dictates how you feel inside, you win. Not just for a moment, not just in a small way, but in a way that transforms your entire life. Because now you are no longer controlled by who sees you. You are unstoppable, whether they notice or not. What if being ignored wasn't a loss, but a redirection? What if, instead of feeling rejected, you saw it as a sign, an opportunity to shift your focus, to grow, to move towards something even greater? Most people take being ignored personally. They let it break them. They replay conversations in their minds, wondering what went wrong. But the truth is, rejection is never about you. It's about alignment. It's about clearing space for something better. Because when someone ignores you, they are showing you exactly where you don't belong. And that is a gift. Rejection is not a reflection of your worth. Too many people attach their self-esteem to how others treat them. If someone values them, they feel important. If someone ignores them, they feel invisible. But your worth is not a mirror. It didn't change based on who is looking. It remains constant whether people see it or not. When you start seeing rejection as redirection, you stop seeking closure. You stop questioning yourself. You stop chasing people who don't recognize your value because you understand. If they can't see your worth, they were never meant to be part of your journey. The right people won't ignore you. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who made you feel seen? Who understood your energy, your value, your presence without you having to prove anything? That's what alignment feels like. That's what real connection looks like. You never have to force it. You never have to chase it. It just is. And that's why being ignored by the wrong people is a blessing. Because it saves you from wasting your time. It redirects you toward the spaces where you truly belong. How to use rejection as fuel. The most successful people in the world have one thing in common. They don't let rejection stop them. They use it. They take every no and turn it into motivation. Every ignored message, every overlooked moment, every closed door. It all becomes fuel to push harder, grow stronger, and build something so undeniable that no one can ignore them. So the next time someone ignores you, don't dwell on it. Don't overthink it. Instead, remind yourself, this is not rejection. This is redirection. This is clearing the path for something better. This is proof that I am meant for something bigger than this moment. Because the truth is, when you focus on becoming, when you shift your energy to your own growth, your own success, your own evolution, the right people, the right opportunities, the right moments will find you. And by then, you won't even care about who ignored you, because you will have outgrown the need for their recognition. You will be too busy winning. What if nothing could break you? What if no silence, no rejection, no moment of being ignored could shake your confidence or make you question your worth? That level of strength is possible, but it doesn't come from others, it comes from within. Most people crumble when they are ignored because they rely on external validation. They depend on others to make them feel seen, heard, and valued. But the truth is, when you build inner strength, you become untouchable. No opinion, no rejection, no moment of being overlooked can weaken you, because your confidence is no longer dependent on who notices you. It is built on who you are. Your strength comes from within, not from others. Why do some people break under pressure while others thrive? Why do some fall apart when they are ignored while others rise above it? The answer is inner foundation. A weak foundation crumbles under the weight of doubt. A strong foundation stands firm no matter what happens. And your foundation, it is built through discipline, through self-awareness, through the unshakable belief that your value does not come from people's attention. It comes from your own actions, your own growth, your own mindset. Stop letting others control your emotions. Imagine giving someone access to a remote control that changes how you feel. If they press a button, you feel confident. If they ignore you, you feel worthless. If they acknowledge you, you feel happy. But what happens when they stop pressing the button? You stand there, waiting, hoping, craving that validation. That is exactly what happens when you let external approval control your emotion. You give your power away. But when you take control, when you decide that your emotions, your confidence, your happiness come from within, you take that remote back. You no longer need their attention to feel worthy. You no longer seek approval to feel important, because you are already whole, with or without them. Master your mindset. No one can break you. The most powerful people in the world have mastered one thing: their mindset. They don't react emotionally to rejection. They don't waste time worrying about who notices them. They stay focused on their purpose, their growth, their goals. And because of that, they can't be shaken. If you want to be unbreakable, stop focusing on who is ignoring you. Start focusing on who you are becoming. Because when you master your mind, when you build a foundation so strong that no external force can weaken it, you win. Not just for today, not just for one situation, but for life. Because once you realize that your power was never in their hands, it was always in yours, you become unstoppable. What if being ignored was never a punishment, but a test? A test of your patience, a test of your mindset, a test of whether you are controlled by the outside world or led by your own inner power. Most people fail this test. They react, they overthink, they try to force attention, chase approval, demand explanations. But those who are truly strong, they do something different. They rise above it. They let silence work in their favor. They use it to grow, because when someone ignores you, they are handing you a choice. Will you let it break you, or will you use it to become unshakable? Silence is not an insult, it's an opportunity. When people don't acknowledge you, it feels personal. It feels like rejection. But what if it was actually a blessing? Because silence reveals truth. It shows you who is meant to be in your life and who isn't. It teaches you to stop relying on external validation. And most importantly, it forces you to build strength from within. The strongest minds don't need constant attention. They don't need to be reassured or reminded of their worth. They know who they are. That is real power. That is the kind of confidence that cannot be ignored. Control your reactions, control your life. How you react when you're ignored says everything about you. Weak people beg for attention. Strong people remain unbothered. Weak people let silence destroy their confidence. Strong people use it to build resilience. Because the truth is, most people who ignore you expect a reaction. They expect you to feel small, to doubt yourself, to seek their approval. And the moment you do, you give them power. But when you respond with silence, when you keep moving forward without hesitation, you show them something powerful. You don't need them. That is when you truly win. That is when you step into a version of yourself that no one can control. Turn being ignored into your greatest strength. Imagine a life where it doesn't matter who acknowledges you. A life where your confidence is unshakable, where you stay focused on your goals no matter what. That is the mindset of winners. They don't chase people. They don't beg for attention. They don't waste energy proving themselves to those who don't see their worth. Instead, they use silence as fuel. They use rejection as motivation. They use every moment of being overlooked as an opportunity to grow so much, to succeed so greatly, that eventually it is impossible to ignore them. Because the truth is, when you focus on your own elevation, the right people, the right opportunities, and the right moments will find you. And by then, you won't even care about who ignored you, because you will have become someone so strong, so unstoppable, that their silence will mean nothing compared to your success. What if every time someone ignored you, it made you stronger? What if, instead of feeling small, you felt empowered? Because that's the shift that changes everything. The moment you realize that being ignored is not a loss, it's a lesson. A lesson in self-worth, a lesson in mental strength, a lesson in becoming unstoppable. Most people spend their lives seeking validation. They want recognition, approval, attention. But the people who truly rise, they don't need it. They are driven by something greater, a purpose, a vision, a fire inside them that no one can dim. And that's why they win. You have nothing to prove. Focus on your growth. Stop waiting for people to see your value. Stop hoping for their acknowledgement. Because if you spend your life chasing validation, you will always be at the mercy of others. True power comes when you shift your focus. When you stop caring about their approval and start investing in your own growth. Build yourself, strengthen your mindset, develop skills that make you undeniable. Because when you're so good, so strong, so focused, the world has no choice but to notice. Not because you begged for attention, but because your results demand it. The best revenge is massive success. There is no greater response to being ignored than becoming someone they can't ignore. Not by proving yourself to them, but by proving yourself to yourself. By leveling up so much that you don't need their recognition. By succeeding in such a way that their silence becomes irrelevant. Because the best revenge is not anger, it's not chasing people, it's winning. Winning in your career, winning in your mindset, winning in your personal growth. That's the secret the strongest people understand. They don't get even, they get better. Walk away with confidence. Your energy is too valuable. When you stop chasing, something incredible happens. You regain your power. Because when you know your worth, you don't beg for attention. You don't waste energy on people who don't appreciate you. You simply walk away with confidence. And that energy shift, it changes everything. Because suddenly people who ignored you start noticing. People who overlooked you start wondering. And the best part? By then you won't even care. Because you will be too busy becoming the person you were always meant to be. Your time is now. Own it. So don't waste another second feeling small. Don't let silence shake you. Use it. Fuel your fire. Let it drive you to become so strong, so unstoppable, that their opinions, their recognition, their attention no longer matter. Because the moment you stop needing them is the moment you become truly powerful. And that's when everything changes.